Good afternoon and welcome everyone to OASW's 2026 annual meeting and Joan Mackenzie Davies lecture. I'm Kaylin and I will be moderating parts of our annual meeting today. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are all participating in this meeting from Indigenous lands. I am joining you today from the OASW office, which is located on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. As a settler on this land, I am grateful every day for the beautiful gifts that this land has given me, and for those who have kept these lands for many generations before me. I respectfully recognize the presence of Indigenous peoples both in the past and the present, and I continuously commit myself to learning, unlearning, meaningful dialogue, and necessary change. As a social worker, I acknowledge the great harm that this profession has caused Indigenous peoples in Canada and commit to working towards truth and the disruption and decolonization of oppressive practices and systems. As we gather today, it is important that we all take the time to learn about and reflect on the lands from which we gather and the historical and ongoing impact of multi-generational effects of colonization, broken treaties, oppressive laws, enslavement, and racism. Along with this, we must all embrace our collective responsibilities and solidarity to restore our commitment to support action. I am immensely grateful to have the opportunity to live and work here. At OASW, we are also actively prioritizing equity integration. As part of this work, we must acknowledge Canada's history of enslavement, racial segregation, and marginalization, along with their devastating impacts on people of African descent. The existence of systemic anti-Black racism and inequality in education, housing, employment, health, criminal justice, politics, and so many other areas can be directly traced to the complex legacies of the dehumanizing enslavement of African people in Canada. Canada has neither recognized nor educated the public adequately about the historical facts related to slavery and the anti-Black racism it has produced. Despite this, Black Canadians have made outstanding contributions to Canada in every field, which is all the more remarkable given the legacy of slavery. It is necessary to recognize the history of Black Canadians in order to build a more just society free from discrimination. Now, I would like to review a few housekeeping notes for our meeting today. First, we are pleased to be offering live ASL and French interpretation, which can be enabled through the globe icon in your Zoom menu bar. To limit interruptions today, participants will be muted during the event. Unfortunately, we will be unable to resolve individual technical issues, but we encourage you to close all other applications running on your device and to leave and then rejoin the webinar if you experience issues with your audio or visuals. Please also note that the chat has been disabled for today's event. Attendees are encouraged to use the reactions feature to engage with and react to today's speakers. We will be taking questions today after our director's report, as well as following our keynote address from Carolyn Mack. Please share your questions via the Q&A function in your Zoom menu bar, and we will pose as many questions as possible to our presenters during the designated Q&A periods. We will also be making use of live polling today to vote on the approval of all motions during today's annual meeting. The polls will appear on your screens at these times. Thank you for being with us today, and I will now pass the floor to OASW's Interim President, Carol Soares, to get us started.
Thank you so much, Kaylin. It's a pleasure to be with all of you here today. Welcome once again to OASW's 2026 annual meeting of members. As Kaylin mentioned, my name is Carol Soares, and I am the interim president of OASW, and I'm pleased to see such a wonderful turnout today. It's wonderful to see everyone. But before calling this meeting officially to order, I will ask that we confirm that quorum has been reached.
I can confirm that quorum has been reached.
Thank you so much, Rita. I will now call the meeting to order and declare that we have quorum present. Okay, so you should now see today's agenda on your screen. Our first hour together this afternoon will focus on the business portion of our meeting, including reports from OASW's directors and the presentation of OASW's 2026 awards. Following the adjournment of the business meeting, we will move into our 6th annual Joan Mackenzie Davies Lecture with keynote speaker Carolyn Mack. And there will be a designated time for questions during the business portion of the AGM and after our keynote speaker address. So we will now ask for approval of today's agenda. We do have a motion that's been moved by Ann Seymour, seconded by Brad Young to approve the agenda. Please vote on the motion now.
I'll just give it a few more minutes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. The motion has been approved.
Thank you so much, Rita. Okay, so now you would have received the minutes of OASW's 2025 annual general meeting, and so we will now ask you to approve these minutes. And so we do have a motion by Miriam Zaidi, seconded by Tracy Gross, to approve the minutes of 2025 annual general meeting. So please go ahead and vote on this motion now.
Great. Thank you for your votes. The motion has been approved.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we will now move on to our directors' reports. And I have the honor of beginning with the president's report. And once again, I want to thank you for being here today. Your presence here really does matter. This is all about you and us as an association. So throughout 2025, you continue to prove that there is real truth in this year's Social Week tagline, which is wherever you are, so are we. And so we have seen that you've persisted in advocating for voices and communities that might be unheard, underrepresented, and providing support to recognize the whole person where they are, wherever they might be. And so OASW members are making real, lasting differences in the mental health and well-being of Ontario communities. We know that. We hear that all the time. It's been a year of action as we strive towards meeting the goals laid out in our 2022 to 2027 strategic plan. OASW has grown in membership and undertaken ambitious outreach efforts to new areas of social work. We've improved our internal technological capacity and our capacity to advocate for social workers at the provincial level. Our professional development offerings have maintained a focus on relevance, on responsiveness, on engagement, and attendance. And our advocacy reached an exciting milestone in 2025, being that we had our first in-person advocacy day at Ontario's legislative buildings since the pandemic, which was a really wonderful experience. Adjiogani's commitment to equity integration has been meaningful and highly intentional. It has been a pleasure to watch the expansion of our equity-focused learning events and staff training opportunities. And it's heartening to see the thriving partnerships that have continued to develop that connect our members to the views and discourses that may be, again, unheard and underrepresented in social work. Adjoriogany will be providing some further updates on these achievements and our strategic plan in a moment. And so just want to also emphasize that our board was strengthened by new additions in 2025. It has been such a pleasure to work with new board members, Martha Njuku, Brad Young, Aaron Whitmore, Miriam Zaidi, Natasha Sashik Lalonde, and Shane Joseph. Their unique perspectives have deepened our understanding of the issues and challenges facing social workers. They've also highlighted the strength and expertise that continues to move our profession forward. And so I would also like to acknowledge and thank board members who are concluding their service, and that includes Natasha, who departed from the board in early 2026, and Sylvie Rivar, who will be concluding her term today. We also want to thank former Board of Directors President Evelyn Weger for her time and contributions during her service with us. Evelyn stepped down as President of the Board of Directors effective December the 12th of 2025 for personal reasons, and we do appreciate Evelyn's hard work and dedication to the social work profession during her time on the OASW board. So it's been an honor to serve as OASW's interim president. I have witnessed the extraordinary care with which our staff team produces live events, learning opportunities, and improve the experiences of our members, because that's really what's at the core and the heart of all that we do. This past year in particular, I've been so inspired by Jiriogani's strategic and focused leadership style, and encouraged by my own experience, where I've been able to learn from and alongside fellow OASW members. So I'd like to now pass things over to Jiriogani. Jiriogani, over to you.
Thank you so much, Carol. Such a heartfelt message. It's a privilege to speak directly with you, our members, at this year's AGM, and to reflect on a year that has been marked by growth, connection, and collective strength. To begin, I want to take a moment to celebrate you. OASW surpassed 10,000 members in 2025, and this is truly a milestone. And I want to thank all of our returning and new members for your continued support of the association. Our association is strong and growing, and I look forward to seeing us reach more new members this year. 2025 was my first full year as CEO, and it was an honor to meet with many of you and to work closely with our board of directors. It was a year of action, where our team made real progress and meeting the goals that were laid out in our 2022 to 2027 strategic plan. A strategic plan may seem abstract to some, but at OASW, I am very proud to say that the way that we approach our strategic plan is structured to provide accountability, guidance, and transparency in the year out. First, we are called to lead in equity integration. Our team hosted more than a dozen equity-focused webinars and workshops in 2025. We advanced Indigenous informed learning through a workshop series launched in December, alongside gender-based violence prevention education that was delivered in partnership with White Ribbon. And during Social Work Week, the theme, wherever you are, so are we also partnered with the Crisis and Trauma Resource Institute to deliver a fantastic series of events that were focused on cultivating sustainable social work practice. Our commitment to integrating equity directed both our internal operations and organizational culture. We strengthen internal policies and practices to align with our equity integration approach, which ensures that decision-making, hiring, and program design reflected anti-oppressive and culturally responsive practices. We also established intentional operational partnership with collaborators who shared our values, supported and co-designed services that were accessible, inclusive, and community-informed. And in parallel, we deepen efforts to foster a culture of equity across our staff team and board through targeted training in truth and reconciliation, culturally aware leadership, and anti-racism practices. This work extended beyond one-time sessions because we gained feedback to refine and approach to training sessions and expanded our team's access to resources and experiential learning opportunities, because our goal is to nurture a culture of accountability and growth in our staff team. These efforts ensure that equity remain embedded in how we work, make decisions, and show up as an organization. As I mentioned, we are encouraged by continued strong membership throughout OASW. Our membership grew by 5.7% in 2025. and our members are involved and engaged. So we're not only growing, but also working together. Nearly 8,000 social workers attended webinars, workshops, and our new Launch and Learn webinar format. Our local engagement networks continue to thrive. In 2025, we hosted 103 events across the province. I would also like to celebrate our growing Francophone engagement efforts. We hosted 14 French language or fully translated events in 2025. This is really a milestone as we seek to better serve Ontario's Francophone social workers. Also in 2025, our team made meaningful progress in efforts to engage social workers' next generation. 118 students joined the association during our 2025 student membership drive. And this allowed us to also host 29 student events, and our new social work student ambassador program is flourishing. Curious and engaged bachelor's, master's, and PhD students represent OASW on campuses across the province. And this past year, we have also made strides to expand the way that you learn and connect with your association. We launched a new learning platform called Learn Worlds. Like many of you, use this platform to engage with our summer learning vaults and our social work school symposium. And now in 2026, we are utilizing what we learned from these events to host more programs on this platform. And one project that I'm so excited to announce is OASW Refresh website. Give it a round of applause for that one. Our team has updated the site to make it easier to navigate and more accessible, inviting, and mobile friendly. And I encourage you to visit our renovated site. And while you're there, check out The Social, our new member blog that launched in November. In 2025, we continued OASW's strong tradition of impactful advocacy. Throughout the year, we hosted 13 meetings with government, submitted 2 formal briefs, and connected with interest holders over 40 times. Our advocacy efforts were further advanced and supported by our members through more than 40 advisory group meetings and 4 member consultations. Another milestone I'd like to share is our Queen's Park Awareness Day, which was held in October. It was refreshing and inspiring to meet in person with members of our board, committee members, and social work leaders from across the province. And together, we attended 15 meetings with provincial politicians and staff. The focus of these conversations included expanding social work scope of practice and the need for dedicated and sustained funding for social workers in schools. We also discussed funding for registered social workers within interprofessional primary care teams. And we built awareness among key decision makers about how social workers in primary care connect Ontarians with support more quickly. The connections we made on this day are helping us accelerate all of our advocacy work in 2026. As we look back on these accomplishments for the past year, we also look forward to continue to work diligently to serve Ontario's social workers in 2026 and beyond. I look forward to seeing our board of directors strengthened by new additions today. A huge congratulations to them. These new board members will reinforce our work and continue to reflect the diversity of OASW's membership in key areas, including accessibility. I look forward to working with all of you. As a member, I want to remind you that there are many ways for you to get involved and share your voice and experiences with OASW. So whether it's applying to become a local engagement ambassador in the fall or joining one of our advisory groups, together we can continue to build resiliency and advocate for individuals and the communities that we serve. May the work of our hands be guided with wisdom, grounded in justice, and carried forward in collective strength. May we continue to work together, knowing that when we move as one, we move further. Ashe. And now I am pleased to pass the floor to board member Martha Njoku to provide the report from the OASW nominating committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ejirogene. And so on behalf of the nominating committee, I am pleased to report on the results of the 2026 election. So, joining the board in 2026 as directors at large for 2-year terms are Jocelyn Hunt from Durham Region and Anne Seymour from Montreal. Joining the board for 1-year terms to complete the terms of directors who stepped down are Lisa Mishibijima from Northern Ontario and Kelly McNorton from Niagara Region. And returning to the board for 2-year terms are Carol Suarez, Christina Mills, Marlene de Amoa, and Shane Joseph. Information about the candidates was circulated to members in advance of this meeting. So we will now ask you to vote to ratify the slate of directors. I would like to put forward a motion seconded by Shane Joseph to accept the slate of directors as presented by the nominating committee and as approved by the board. Please vote on the motion now.
I'll give it a few more seconds. Thank you, everyone. The motion has been approved.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Now I'm pleased to present your new board of directors. As OASW's elections are staggered, board members Sohaila Pashang, Brad Young, Erin Whitmore, Miriam Saidi, and myself, Martha Njoku, will be returning to serve the remaining year in our current terms. OASW board members sets the association's policies and strategic directions. They ensure that the organization stays on course to fulfill its mission and advises the organization on issues affecting the social work profession and the public. Finally, I would like to encourage you to consider getting more involved in your association, as Ajiragana had said, by participating in your local engagement network, applying to join an advisory group, taking advantage of our many events and professional development opportunities, and helping us to champion the profession during Social Work Week and the month in March. Your active participation and feedback are critical to advancing the profession and shaping the future direction of the association. Thank you. I will now hand it over to CASW President Barb Whiteneck to provide an update on the Canadian Association of Social Workers.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Caitlin, for introducing me and for allowing me to be here. Merci pour l'opportunité de parler avec vous autres à l'Association d'Ontario. As CSW president, it's a genuine pleasure. Just making sure my sound. Is my sound okay? Yep, good. I should have checked that first. As CSW president, it's a genuine pleasure to be here today to bring greetings on behalf of the CSW National Board of Directors. As you all know, Ontario Association of Social Workers is one of 11 partners in our national federation. It is a point of pride for our profession that at a time with great uncertainty in the world around us, that CASW Federation is fully united from coast to coast to coast. Earlier this year, we had the distinct pleasure to have the Quebec Association rejoin the CASW. C'est très important pour toute la province et territoire participer avec la ACTS. It's so important to have a unified voice of all of our provinces and territories. So I would like to thank each member of OASW for choosing to support the association voice of the profession. It's a choice that supports strengthening the profession not only provincially, but also nationally and internationally. Your OASW membership enables CASW to exist. which in turn enables the International Federation of Social Workers to exist. So again, I cannot thank you enough for choosing to support the profession through OASW membership. We've been always very grateful for OASW participation in the past, especially as they provided a leadership role in guiding us through our EDIB journey. As most of you are already aware, this year carries particular significance for CASW as we mark our 100th year anniversary. This milestone is the direct result of the collective efforts and vision built by social workers across this country who have consistently shown up to advance diversity, equity, and well-being for all. 100 years is not just a celebration of levity, but recognition of sustained collaboration across jurisdictions, communities, and lived realities. This intersection creates lasting impact. As is core, collective impact remains as we move through complex social challenges. It will not be solved alone. We need to speak and be as one. Real change requires a common agenda, shared understanding, and coordinated efforts over time and domains. As a federation of voices grounded in leadership and lived experience of our provincial and territorial partners, CASW is grateful to OASW for its commitment to a shared vision. The collaboration with OASW directly informs CASW's federal advocacy. When we engage federal decision makers on housing, income securities, mental health parity, and other important social determinants of health, we are advancing a shared vision of the future shaped by evidence for our collective membership. This lived knowledge strengthens our policy positions and ensures that our advocacy not only remains relevant, but more importantly, creates impactful change. At a time when Canada continues to face overlapping social, economic, and public health challenges, the role of social workers has never been more critical. And the importance of a coordinated multi-level advocacy at local, provincial, and federal levels has never been more clear. Through our ongoing dialogues, joint initiatives, and shared advocacy, we maintain trust and cohesiveness across policy and practice domains. As CASW reflects on the past 100 years, we are also looking ahead. The next century will demand continued collaboration, innovation, and courage. It will require us to sustain commitments to equality, to reconciliation, and to anti-oppressive practices. It will also require strong partnerships like the one we currently share. Again, today, I extend our sincere appreciation to OASW, your leadership, your partnership, your unwavering commitment to the profession. Encore, gros merci pour l'invitation pour participer avec la réunion générale. On fait une bonne réunion continuée. So happy 100 years to each and every one of us. And thank you again for the opportunity to be with you today, to speak with you today. And I really want to congratulate those members that have stepped up with the previous nomination to be part of your board. It's a strong commitment and it's an important commitment. And we thank you so much for all the work that you do. Merci beaucoup.
It is my pleasure to recognize Keith Adamson as this year's recipient of the CASW Distinguished Service Award. The CASW National Social Work Month Distinguished Service Award is presented annually by the Canadian Association of Social Workers to recognize individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the profession. Recipients are selected by each CASW partner organization from within their membership based on criteria that recognize leadership, meaningful impact, contributions to advancing the profession, and a sustained commitment to social work, values, and social justice. Dr. Adamson joined the Factor in Wentosh Faculty of Social Work at the University of Toronto in 2017 and was promoted to Associate Professor in 2023. He brings more than 20 years of progressive senior leadership experience across major healthcare organizations, including Mackenzie Health, Women's College Hospital, St. Joseph's Health Center, and Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital. Throughout his career, Keith has demonstrated strong leadership in clinical governance and professional practice, expanding his influence beyond social work to support interprofessional practice across multiple health disciplines. His contribution to the profession extend beyond clinical leadership. Keith has held numerous leadership roles, including serving as the president of the OASW from 2014 to 2018. During this time, he led the development of a provincial strategy focused on strengthening evidence-based research, enhancing public awareness of social work, expanding professional development opportunities, and advocating for the inclusion of social work in the regulation of psychotherapy. Keith's work also includes advancing interprofessional collaboration and education, as well as research focused on innovation in social work practice and the integration of compassionate, service user-informed care. Dr. Adamson's visionary leadership and sustained contributions reflect a commitment to advancing the social work profession and strengthening the systems of care. Please join me in congratulating Keith Adamson on this well-deserved recognition. Keith, I would like to invite you to share a few words.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Miriam. Well, thank you, CASW and OASW, for this lovely honor. I'd like to take a moment to thank the individuals who influenced and shaped my initial welcome into the Ontario Association of Social Workers, an organization that contributed significantly to my professional trajectory. So a shout out to Joan Mackenzie Davis, who invited me to sit on committees nearly 25 years ago, at a time when there were not many people who looked like me in the association. And I see that that has changed. I'm deeply grateful to her. I also want to thank Rita Mashrin, Dr. Beverly Antle, Dr. Dan Andre, and so many other social work leaders who showed me kindness, taught me about professional advocacy, and demonstrated the importance of promoting our profession while advocating for the clients that we serve. There's something truly meaningful about being a member of the Ontario Association of Social Workers. As I reflect on my journey, I can confidently say that being part of the OASW has heavily influenced my professional path. And so I accept this award today, carrying with me the memories and the sacrifices of social work leaders everywhere. Those who have championed the role of social work locally, those who've championed it in their institutions, in their workplaces, provincially, and all the amazing work that's being done nationally as well. I've been incredibly fortunate to have had role models and leaders who helped define who I wanted to be and become as a social worker, and who I think has shaped my trajectory over the last 25 years. I've lived long enough to witness meaningful progress resulting from advocacy from the OASW. I've been part of and seen the fight for professional recognition through the creation of the college, efforts to have insurance companies recognize social workers on their plans, advocacy around the use of the title doctor, leadership in poverty reduction, the recognition for the title psychotherapist. Through all of these efforts, one truth has remained constant. We are strongest when we stand together. So as I look ahead to new challenges and opportunities, I encourage all of us to remember that unity is power. And so let's continue to stand together, support one another, and advance our profession with the same collective strength that has brought us this far. And so I want to thank you again for the opportunity to serve and be of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith, and just a heartfelt congratulations as well. The association has never been stronger. As we heard a little bit ago from Injiriojane, as of the end of 2025, we have exceeded the milestone of 10,000 members, representing growth of membership of 5.7%. You will now see a summary of OASW's 2025 audited financial statements on your screen. These could also be found on page 31 of our annual report. I would like to recognize the OASW's board, CEO, and staff for their diligent stewardship and their judicious implementation of the board's strategic priorities. I would also like to thank OASW's Finance and Audit Committee for their role in developing the annual budget and carefully reviewing the auditor's independent report. As for the audit results, this year, OASW transitioned to a new audit firm, Welch LLP, following a competitive request for proposals process overseen by the Finance and Audit Committee. And I am pleased to report that Welch LLP issued a clean, unqualified audit opinion on our 2025 financial statements. The auditors indicated that our financial reports were presented fairly and accurately in all material respects. Copies of the full audited report and financial statements are available from OASW should anyone be interested. Looking at our financial position for the fiscal year of 2025, I would like to take a moment to walk you through some key highlights of our financial position for the year ending December 31st, 2025. For the fiscal year of 2025, total revenues were approximately $2.98 million, and total expenses were approximately $3.34 million, resulting in a planned deficit for approximately $364,000. I want to emphasize that this deficit was anticipated and approved by the board as part of our annual budget. I would also like to give some context regarding the association's planning for deficits, how we are managing surplus funds, and our plan to return to a balanced budget. Since 2020, the board has budgeted the use of its cash surplus strategically each year to cover the excess of expenses over revenues, referred to as a deficit. These deficits reflect a deliberate decision by the board to invest the association's accumulated resources in fulfilling our strategic priorities and strengthening the services we provide to you, our members. Examples of the use of these funds include investments in technology, expansion of professional development offerings, and increased engagement opportunities virtually and across the province. The association carefully monitors and manages its surplus cash and investments to ensure our long-term stability. To this end, we maintain reserve funds set aside for specific purposes, including a contingency fund, a long-term development fund, and an engagement, technology, and innovation fund. These reserves are governed by our reserve policy, adopted by the board in 2025, to provide clear guidelines on how these funds are maintained and when they may be drawn upon. In addition, the board adopted an investment policy as well to ensure that OASW's funds are invested responsibly and in alignment with our risk tolerance and growth objectives. Together, these policies and our financial resources are being managed transparently, prudently, and with accountability to our members. So looking ahead, the board and management are working toward returning to a fully balanced budget by 2028. This plan is supported by several key measures, including diversifying revenue streams, continued prudent expense management, and close adherence to our reserve and investment policies. At this time, I would like to put forward a motion, seconded by Marlene Day Amois, to approve the audited financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2025. If you could please vote on this motion now.
Please vote now. Just give it a few more seconds. Thank you. The motion has been approved.
Thank you, Rita. Every 5 years, OASW issues a request for proposals for audit services. In 2025, a request for proposals was issued and submissions were carefully reviewed by OASW's Finance and Audit Committee. After interviews of the top candidates, the committee recommended the appointment of Welch LLP as auditors for 2025, which the board of directors approved. Welch LLP recently completed the 2025 audit. I would like to put forward a motion now, seconded by Aaron Whitmore, to approve the reappointment of Welch LLP as our auditors for 2026. If you could please vote on this motion now.
A few more seconds. Thank you very much. The motion has been approved.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your involvement and support. I will now invite OASW's interim President Carol Soares and Kayleen Boyd to take over and seek approval of all the directors' reports.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Christina. And I'd like to, now I believe we are answering questions. We're going to have a question and answer period for everyone.
Actually, sorry, Carol, I'm afraid we've actually run a little bit over time today. We just had so much wonderful information and celebration to share with everyone.
Okay.
I do really apologize to everyone that we won't have time to address your questions live in this meeting today, but I strongly encourage you to read our annual report for 2025, as that may have a lot of the answers to your questions. And please do email us at info@oasw.org to ask any questions that you would still like to ask, and our team will get back to you to answer your questions following the AGM. So one more time, that's info@oasw.org. I believe it's going to be posted in the chat as well, so you can reference that to please send us your questions. And Carol, I'll now pass it back to you to keep going with the approvals of the director's reports.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. Although we've run out of time for that piece, please do reach out anytime outside of our general meeting. So we'll now move to approve the director's reports as presented. And we do have a motion that has been moved by Karen McNaughton and seconded by Rochelle Ashcroft to approve the director's reports as presented. So we ask you to please vote on the motion now.
Great. I will just leave it up for a few more seconds. Thank you so much. The motion has been approved.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll move on to the approval of acts and deeds of the Board of Directors during the 2025 to 2026 term. And we also, we do have a motion that has been moved by Brent Wilcox, seconded by Francine Boudreau, to approve the acts and deeds of the Board of Directors during the 2025 to 2026 term as reported. And we ask you to please vote on the motion now.
Please note that the motion shows 26 to 27, which would be in advance, but it's actually 25 to 26. Just leave it up for a couple more seconds. Thank you so much. The motion has been approved.
Thank you, Rita. Wonderful. So I'm pleased to now move us on to a particularly rewarding part of today's agenda, the presentation of OASW's 2026 Lifetime Achievement and Inspirational Leader Awards. And I'd like to invite OASW Awards Committee Chair Marlene Deamoy and Awards Committee Member Brad Young to present these awards.
Hi, everybody. So I would be presenting, it's actually my pleasure to present the OASW Inspirational Leader Award. This award recognizes social workers who are true role models, individuals who contributions inspire others and whose leadership, professionalism, and integrity set a meaningful standard for the field. Recipients demonstrate innovation, optimism, and a deep commitment to advancing equity, diversity, and positive change within the profession and the communities that we serve. This year, we are honored to recognize Helen Nguyen as the recipient of the Inspirational Leader Award. Are we switching the slide? Sorry. Helen's path into social work is grounded in a powerful legacy of service. Raised in a family where generosity and compassion were lived values, she witnessed the lasting impact of helping others with dignity and respect, principles that continue to guide her work today. Throughout her career, Helen has demonstrated a strong commitment to supporting underserved communities, particularly within Asian populations, where she has worked to challenge mental health stigma and empower individuals and families to thrive. Her experience spans psychotherapy, geriatric care, and systems-level leadership, including her work implementing the Scope Initiative in Scarborough to strengthen access to the coordinated mental health care. In her current role as Director of Client Care and System Navigations at HF Care, Helen continues to lead with purpose, advancing culturally responsive care and addressing systemic barriers to equity. As the first and only Vietnamese-speaking capacity assessor designated in Ontario, she plays a vital role in supporting individuals and families navigating complex intersections of legal, health, and mental health systems. Helen's leadership is thoughtful, compassionate, and deeply impactful. She inspires others not only through her professional accomplishments, but through the way she shows up with integrity, humility, and a clear commitment to making a difference. Please join me in congratulating Helen Nguyen on this well-deserved recognition.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for selecting me as the recipient of the 2026 Inspirational Leader Award. I'm truly honored. At the heart of my work are the values of social justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion. These principles guide how I show up each day in the decisions I make, the voices I amplify, and the system I try to influence. I want to emphasize that this award is not only a reflection of individuals' efforts alone, but of the community's executive leadership and colleagues who have shaped and trusted me along the way. I share this recognition with all of the team and all of you who continue this work, building a more equitable and inclusive system of care with courage and compassion. If I may leave one message, especially for those early in your social work journeys, it is this: the importance of allyship cannot be overstated. No matter where you practice, whether at the macro, meso, or micro level, our work exists within systems where social oppression, structural barriers, and social determinants of health are deeply intertwined. None of us can address these alone. So allyship means standing alongside others, listening deeply, and using our influence to open doors, challenge inequities, create space for others to bring forward their very best, and for the voices that are too often unheard. It is not always easy, but it is always necessary. So this recognition strengthened my commitment to foster supportive and innovative environments for our work. Thank you again for this honor, and let us keep moving forward together, inspiring one another to make a lasting difference. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to present the OASW Lifetime Achievement Award. The award recognizes a social worker whose values, accomplishments, and career reflect a deep passion, commitment, and distinguished contribution to the profession. It is presented to individuals who have demonstrated outstanding achievements over a minimum of a 10-year career, made contributions of lasting impact to social work in Ontario, and the consistently upheld values of our profession. This year, we are honored to recognize Brian Beach as the recipient of the OASW Lifetime Achievement Award. Since earning his MSW from the University of Toronto in 1992, Brian has built a diverse and impactful career in social work. He spent the first 2 decades of his practice in children's mental health, providing individual, play, family, and group therapy, as well as consultation to residential and day treatment programs. Motivated to deepen his understanding of child development and enhances his work with families, Brian completed his PhD in clinical social work at Smith College School for Social Work in 2003. He went on to provide consultation and training to agencies and school boards while supporting the implementation of parenting programs across York Region and Simcoe County. Brian has maintained a clinical practice in Newmarket since 2003 and has focused on full-time practice since 2013. He also contributed significantly to social work education as a sessional instructor at the Faculty of Social Work at the University of Toronto, where he developed and taught the program's only psychodynamic theory and practice course for many years. He has demonstrated a strong commitment to mentorship and professional development through his work in field education, supporting students across multiple programs, and continuing to provide clinical consultation to colleagues. More recently, Brian expanded his practice by training as a forest therapy guide, leading individuals and groups in nature-based experience that foster reflection and connection. Brian's career reflects the very essence of this award, marked by sustained excellence, meaningful impact, and a deep commitment to the values of social work. Please join me in congratulating Brian on this very well-deserved recognition. Brian, if you'd like to, I'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much, Marlene, and thank you to the other members of the awards committee for this honor. I have to say, I was completely shocked when I received the email from Catherine indicating that I had been nominated and subsequently chosen as a recipient for this award. I have honestly never considered that what I've done in my career has been particularly outstanding, let alone award-winning. I've just tried to be helpful to the people I meet, be they students, colleagues, or clients. I'm honored by the association's decision and hope to live up to the standards that this award implies. I also wish to acknowledge my gratitude for the inspiration I've gained at key moments in my career from supervisors, professors, and colleagues, many of whom are OASW members. These include, but are not limited to, Dr. Edward Hanna, retired professor at Wilfrid Laurier University, and Dr. Faye Mishna at the University of Toronto, both of whom supervised and encouraged me during my PhD clinical internships and beyond. But I've been equally inspired by the many people I tried my best to support in my day-to-day work. I've been privileged to be part of many journeys in life, and I hope that my brief time and interactions with them have been helpful. In that spirit, I wish to dedicate this award to the many people who have inspired me. As Nancy McWilliams, a highly regarded psychoanalytic writer and educator, advises, our capacities for curiosity and awe are among our most important sensibilities in our work, and I would add in life. So if I may, I encourage us all to do our best to cultivate these qualities. In a world that seems to be increasingly challenging by the day, we need to be open, and as Ian McGilchrist, the British psychiatrist and philosopher, suggests, we need to draw upon our individual and collective imaginations in order to envision creative and sustainable ways forward. So once again, thank you very much for this honor.
Congratulations to Helen and to Brian for these well-deserved awards. So this actually concludes the business portion of our AGM for today. We'll take still a 5-minute break to before we introduce our keynote speaker for the Joan Mackenzie Davies lecture.